Hello, I am Redacted NPC. Hello, I am Redacted NPC. We'll try that again. Hello, I'm Redacted NPC. Today we are going to be talking about my video Dragon Ball Z except Goku Speedruns the Saiyan Saga. I'm going to start by saying I'm once again streaming this, and I learned the importance of recording the video while I streamed it, or while I stream it, because last time I had to wait for it to be uploaded to YouTube before I could then download it and start editing. And that took a bit. That was annoying. Apparently, I can also download straight from Twitch, but I don't want to have to wait for a video to download if I can just record it at that time. So, the thumbnail for this is pretty straightforward. I made the entire video and then I was like, oh, you know what? I should probably make a thumbnail for my videos and start putting a lot more effort into them, but I don't know what thumbnail I want to use for this. So I guess I'll just show Goku winning. And in my mind, Goku winning is showing him having a world record. The world record is the exact length of time that the video plays for, according to YouTube. And then I just went and I got Roshi's glasses from, or actually, I think there was even an episode where Goku teleported and grabbed Roshi's glasses, which is where this might be from. I don't completely remember, but that sounds about right to me. This was the last episode that I made in the series. I had already written out how I wanted the entire series to go before I had finished this, but I had anticipated originally that this was going to be the longest video. As it turns out, it ended up actually being the shortest of the four. Episode 4 is the one that I'm still currently working on, Vegeta Speedruns the Buu Saga, and that one is looking like it'll end up probably being around 20 minutes or so. If you are watching this live, you're going to have to give me a moment. It seems that my browser has elected to freeze. So I'm going to have to start that back up in just a second. Because my browser has my notes on it. There we are. Okay. Let's go ahead and pop that bad boy back in. Okay. I had the idea for this series for quite a while. I'm trying to remember exactly when. We'll get to that in a moment. Anyway, in the comments, I say that this will... No, that's not right. Originally, I was going to make it so that Goku was a streamer and that his chat kept spoiling him on what happens. And so that's why he knows about the futures, because chat can't stop spoiling things. I was going to have Twitch chat run along the right side of the screen the entire time, and I was going to rotoscope a headset onto Goku, and I was going to show his health bar and have this whole game UI that would be present throughout most of the video, but I decided to change it to make it more where they just make video game references rather than the other idea. That other idea I still felt was hilarious, but I thought that this would be a better route to go, less in your face. Haha, look, fellow kids, it's about video games. Get it? Get it? It's a video game. A more subtle approach while talking about video game things was what I thought would be better. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, pausing right off the bat. Also wanted to point out that I have upgraded my Adobe After Effects from 2020 to 2024. So you may see, I haven't seen too many differences so far, but that did mean that these files had to convert, all these project files, from the older version to the newer version. So I've done my best to recreate everything as close to how it originally was as possible, but there will be some hiccups.
にしても、なんで俺たち3人が先鋒なんだ?
So, for whatever reason, when I was making this, I was so focused on getting these ostriches sound effects. I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't think of anything to add in place of them. And so I just went and I got the original audio and threw it in there instead. It was such a big deal to me for whatever reason. And here's the actual. Let's take a listen to just the ostriches. Yeah, so there's nothing that's really close enough to that I could just substitute anyway.
さっきなんか体調機嫌悪くなかったか?
I have been trying to make my videos so that even if you don't watch Dragon Ball or read any of it or know about it, that you can still enjoy them. But there are still things that I want to throw in so that people who do watch can still benefit from it. So if you watch Dragon Ball Z, you know that this isn't right. This whole setup isn't right. Farmer with the shotgun doesn't even talk to Raditz when he first appears, and he's the first victim of the Saiyan invasion. So the fact that he is surviving so far, and that he's actually, it's weird, and that he's actually able to have a conversation is unusual. The reason is, and I'm sure you've already watched the video, so I'll spoil it. The reason is that the character he's talking to is Trunks. It's not Raditz, and that's why. It seems After Effects didn't load correctly. Let's try that again.
誰がサブリーダーだって?
So there he's making the joke that he just saw Trunks fly off and he realizes that he's thinking he's imagining things. This was a continuation of me wanting to do a less is more approach that I talked about in one of my previous episodes. I realized that the human mind is able to piece together what's happening even if they can't see things off screen. So I'm using you guys to do the work that I don't feel like doing, because I didn't feel like cropping out Trunks and having part of his shadow right here and then slowly fly up and then fly off. I also wanted it to be kind of questionable, like, what's happening? I don't know what's going on in this video. Is it Raditz he's talking to? It must be, because Raditz is the one he talks to. So it also plays towards some of the mystery. You'll notice that the audio quality here has dropped considerably, and that's because I didn't add these sound effects myself. These are from the original broadcast of Dragon Ball Z. That's why. I didn't have the sound effect for everyone being shocked. That let's see if I can. You hear it? I didn't have that, and so I decided, okay, I'll just use the original audio. That's fine. I also don't have everyone going, eh. So I don't think that's been used in any of the games that I'm able to easily get audio from. I did add the sound of the ocean in the next few clips, as you'll see. If let's try that again. Here I was needing to show that something's approaching. When Raditz approaches, I'm pretty sure he just drops down. There's none of this. This is from Goku. I want to say it was Goku either throwing a rock or someone friendly flying to Kame House. It might be Raditz, and I just cut it out when you could see him. I don't remember at this point. No, I'm pretty sure that's a rock that he threw. Oh yeah, because I've downloaded the new update. Yeah, it's a rock he threw. Because I've downloaded the new update, it's showing all these different tips. But you see how that seemed like it was someone flying in, yeah? I just realized their dialogue overlaps right here. Anyway, Right here, this doesn't really matter. The whole point of this dialogue tree that's going on, and I realize this is over to the side. I don't know how to move it. I'll have to figure that out in the future. The whole point of this dialogue that they're having right here is just to show everyone's peaceful and happy, because I don't want to just jump into, we're going to cut away from this scene in just a moment. So it would be weird if I went to Farmer saying, hey, I don't know you, and then all of a sudden, hey, there's someone approaching, and then we cut away again. It's just, it would be too disjointed. But the conversation and everything here really doesn't matter. You'll notice here that I chose to use Dio's theme, Dark Rebirth, from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Originally, I was going to use this for the end credits, and I got this from Lonely Archive when they were using this in some of their videos. I really like it, but I don't want to just be a copycat of them. It's fine to be inspired by someone, but I feel like there is a line between being inspired and just simply copying what they're doing. So I did still use it, but I didn't use it towards the end, and I'm not using it repeatedly for villains appearing. Right, so the entire encounter is meant to be very similar to when Raditz initially appears. And again, this is for people who have actually watched the story and know who should be there, but they know that something's a little off. Things aren't going the exact same way that they did before. You'll notice that the text here is a different color or different font style than what I normally use. Normally I use Impact because that's what you see in most memes, but here I'm using Cooper Black. The reason for that is because originally I had the Saiyans and Frieza speaking a different language called Intergalactic. And the way I was going to represent that was having the font for the subtitles be a different color, or be a different style. But also I was going to have the characters speak Korean instead of Japanese, so that people who watch a lot of anime should be able to recognize Japanese versus other Asian languages. You might not be able to distinguish which country it's from, but you should be able to hear a difference. I was going to do that, but I know that I am going to use Vegeta later on, and because of him, I decided not to. Because when I knew eventually I was going to have Vegeta, quote unquote, learn to speak the language that the main characters speak, which in this case is Japanese, and I didn't want either. I was going to have to use a completely different voice actor who's speaking Korean, whose voice would then change to Vegeta's Japanese voice actor, or I was going to have to search through Korean media for someone who sounds similar to Vegeta's Japanese voice actor, and then switch to Vegeta's Japanese. I didn't want to have to do all that work, and I didn't want to be bothered by that first option where it's just some random voice and then it's Vegeta's voice. Specifically, I feel like Vegeta and Frieza have very iconic voice actors, and so for me to use someone else would be too distracting and it would throw people off. Again, you'll notice the difference between Piccolo's original voice actor and the voice that I had that I grabbed from Xenoverse 2, where it's a lot more clear. And this is around the time I think I finally used up all of my old voice lines, all the ones I recorded myself, and now we're just having ones that I extracted from the game rather than the ones I recorded myself from the game. Regardless, you can hear that difference in quality, but also, again, I'm trying to lead people towards thinking what's going on. Don't forget what he told us. keep hold of his tail. If you've watched the original Dragon Ball, you know that Raditz says, please let go, I'll leave, I'll never come back. And Goku believes him. And then Raditz turns around and starts fighting them again. But this, plus Goku not letting go of his tail when he begs, should lead you to think, okay, this is it's similar, but very different than what was originally happening. And hopefully that would get people invested, people who've actually seen Dragon Ball.
やめろその名前で呼ぶんじゃねえ受けてみろ魔漢光殺法
And you can see Goku didn't buy it. Alright, a few things here. First, you can see Goku over here to the side. This is something I only just realized as I'm going through and editing this, but honestly, if I didn't realize it the first time when I was editing, I doubt anyone would actually notice while they're watching through, especially with how many flashing lights are going on and how disorienting this is. The second thing is that I had completely forgotten that Piccolo actually fires 2 special beam cannons. I thought that this was something that was just done in Xenoverse. It's 1 or 2, I don't remember which one they did, but I thought this was something that was just done in Xenoverse. But no, he fires the first one and misses Raditz because Raditz barely manages to dodge just in time. But his armor, his shoulder piece gets broken off. And so this is what they show. The second time, Goku then has to hold Raditz and then he gets shot. So I just used this as Raditz getting shot instead, because Goku is going to live through this encounter as you'll see in just a moment. There were also a lot of really cool shots of this fight, and specifically the special beam cannon, that I really wanted to show, and I just had to make myself pick and choose which ones would last, because I didn't want to have 30 seconds of explosions and special beam cannon traveling and hitting and characters reacting, things like that. You also notice this right here just dims it because it was too bright. Again, for people who watch in almost complete darkness or complete darkness, or even just people who look at their screen normally, I didn't want them to get flashbanged, and I didn't want to be flashbanged while I was watching this. So I added this when the white light comes on. That's what I normally do too, and you'll see up here.
Oi, しっかりしろ
心配するな。
残念だったな
You might be able to tell, but Trunks here is rotoscoped. Of course, he's not originally in this scene. I cut this out from when he originally appears to fight Frieza. So, originally, the excuse that I gave was that he mistakenly went too far back. But if I were to redo this, I would rewrite his reason. Instead, because I've already used that I went too far back in the time machine, or the time machine had a mistake. I've already used that in a different video. So I want to say that he did it on purpose. He's told, hey, you need to go back. You need to save our timeline and protect everyone. In his mind, he thinks, well, I'm already going back in time, and I'm going to be messing with the timeline. I might as well go further back and reduce the number of people who get hurt. So he goes extra far back and he tells everyone exactly what's going to happen so that they can prepare. And this sets the entire series into motion. So that's what happens. Trunks goes back, tells everyone this is what's going to happen, because he's trying to protect everyone so that Goku doesn't have to die and no one has to suffer extra. But that comes with a lot of different problems. The first, of course, being that people aren't going to go down the same path. So if Goku doesn't die, he doesn't learn Kaioken or the Spirit Bomb from King Kai. That's the first thing. You'll also see that I kind of use this idea of going back to save people, making things worse down the line. I'll use this again in the next episode breakdown, number 102, Future Trunks, the Time Traveler's Punishment. Aside from that, there are other things that you'll notice, like characters not knowing techniques or the story changing a little bit, but it all starts here. I also decided to use Traffic Jam from Halo 3 ODST because I was playing it around this time and... Oh, hello, Zelka. I was playing it around this time and it's a certified bop.
何者かは知らないが、相手になろう。
これからが楽しみだな。おめえの力も分かったしよ。おたげもっと強くなって。
お前は俺には勝てない。いい勝負にしましょう。
Again, I've already talked about the time machine having some mistake or something and how I use that in a future one. And looking back now, I feel like it's kind of lazy writing to just say, oh, we made an oopsie. Instead, like I've already said, let's just take it as instead he says, I went back, I might as well save more lives, blah, blah, blah. Of course, there are time constraints for how much I can have him say in this short amount of time because I already have the music starting up. I wanted that initial... I wanted that to show while Trunks is talking because that mood sounds very hopeful to me. And that is what Trunks embodies, is hope.
もっと強くなって。
お前は俺には勝てない。いい勝負にしましょう。全力で相手をしよ
う。お前の成長ぶりを確かめてやろう。俺が背中を守ってやる。
This is a plot hole. Trunks only knows about 2 androids at this time, and that's what I should have had him say. It wasn't until I published it and the video was already getting traction that I realized, wait, hold on a second. When he originally goes back, he only knows about 17 and 18. So again, that would be something else I would change.
やるな。だが、勝負はこれからだ。
For this upcoming part, it's mostly music. I use different parts of the original Dragon Ball.
あんたね、そんなんじゃ世界なんて救えっこないわよ。
Okay, I use different parts of the original Dragon Ball anime and the Dragon Ball Z anime for a montage. And I realize this is probably going to be louder than me, so you won't be able to hear. And that Goku sounding weird was an error. When I was converting this to the latest After Effects, it was having issues converting. And I lost some files, or I've misplaced them. I can't find where I put them anymore. So originally that was him going, ah! So I've used, what I was saying is I've used different parts of original Dragon Ball and Z for the montage. Goku fighting Piccolo is from the end of the original Dragon Ball anime. The Z fighters here training is from preparing for the Saiyan's attack. And then Gohan walking with his sword here is from a filler episode. So I try and keep the timeline as close to the original as I can. I'm over here talking with my hands, even though I don't think you can see. The thing I was thinking about is how odd it seems that these people probably spend most of their life sleeping because they're trying to travel, right? They're going from one planet to another and it takes a while, so they just sleep while they travel. And I was thinking that the paws are also really tiny, so they can't do anything or go anywhere. Like you can't stretch your legs or walk it it just seems very claustrophobic. And I realize how awful. I don't know if I would ever travel to another planet if I have to be doing something like this. I don't know. Maybe they're just asleep the entire time. They never like wake up, read a few books, and then go back to sleep or whatever. But they probably also lose some strength if it takes a while for them to get from one place to another. Like if it takes days or weeks. And then I realized that it's not too different than being on a long plane ride. So, I mean, it's significantly longer because you're spending weeks or months traveling, but again, I wanted them speaking a different language so you can see that Nappa, Raditz, and Vegeta are all speaking in a different font. I thought about having Frieza also speak in a different font in the episode 103, but I ended up not doing it because I decided after I finished this that yeah, I'm just not going to do Korean voice actors for any of them, so there's no point showing the different font. Especially since none of the characters actually speak to Frieza. Goku and Gohan don't actually speak to Frieza. It's 6-on-1 because we have Goku, Piccolo, Tien, Yamcha, Gohan, and Krillin. Everyone's actually here from the start instead of Goku having to catch up because he was dead. I also didn't count Chaozu, even though originally he was in this fight, because I didn't show him. The only thing he actually does in this fight is explode, and I'm not going to have him do that, so there's no point showing him anyway. Krillin will be shown in the Saiyan armor for a glitch that we will see in just a little bit. This is supposed to be reminiscent of, and we'll talk about this more in just a moment, but it's supposed to be reminiscent of how in games you can, so long as you meet certain flags, you can trigger certain events. This is obviously when he's on Namek. I try to make the background look more Namek-like. So I just inverted, I made this grass green and I made the sky blue instead, and I had to do it in 2 different clips, but it still very much looks like Namek instead of Earth to me. But maybe that's because I've seen how the sausage is made. Psychic Sun. This is a reference to episode 3 when Goku is going to be having visions of the future. And just so that I put it somewhere so that we know it, I didn't just pull it out of my butt at the last second. Drop in quality because I didn't feel like getting more Nappa lines. He doesn't talk after this, so I just left that in there. You'll also notice that in this upcoming clip, Tien is actually near a waterfall. He was training at a waterfall, and so you'll hear the waterfall in the background if you listen closely. You also notice the drop in quality because I just used the original audio, and that's because I didn't have a Tien battle cry. I didn't really feel like getting one because this is, well, it was difficult actually. That's what it was. It was difficult for me to find a battle cry because I have all these files. I have, in fact, let's take a look. I have almost 37,000 voice lines from different characters throughout Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. I don't feel like, and I can search TSH is Tien's code. This is what it looks like in Xenoverse 2. So I can search and see all the different lines that Tien has, but there are still 200 of these. I didn't feel like searching through each and every one looking for a battle cry for Tien, so I would just go through and I would search and see, let's see what this says. Let's take a listen and hear what he's saying during this time.
最後の実習だ。頑張って乗り越えるんだぞ。
Okay, he said something about do your best, and he sounds calm, so then I'll rename it Tien Calm or whatever. And I'll just keep going through until I find one that matches what I'm actually looking for, and then in the future, I can just take... Let's see. In the future, I have all these different voice lines from Tien that I can use wherever they fit. So...
呼んべだ
I debated there if I wanted to have Nappa blowing up being a comedic sound effect, like the guy going kaboom, but I decided on an actual explosion because I just didn't really feel like it'd be all that funny. Plus, we're going to have some actual comedy bits coming up in just a second. I debated on how to make Krillin upset Vegeta. Initially, I was going to Photoshop a microphone in his hand, and I was going to have him tell a very terrible joke that just the punchline was awful, and Vegeta would be so upset that he decides to kill Krillin. But I decided it'd be, like, it's meant to be a one-off joke, just quick humor, you know? So instead, I just had him call Vegeta a racial slur for Saiyans. So, this is obviously from when Frieza kills Krillin. I changed the color from green to blue so that it's more in line with Earth colors, even though the sky at this point is pink. We'll get to that in a moment. The short black here is just to help with the scene transition. Though thinking back on it now, I probably could have just had us go straight from here to here. And then the last thing is that the sound of the fireworks as Krillin explodes obviously is meant to be comedic, but it's also a reference to one of Vegeta's moves called Dirty Fireworks. I used to use this all the time when I was playing with my brother in, was it Budokai Tenkaichi 2? Anyway, I thought it was the move that Vegeta used to kill Nappa, but apparently it's what he uses to kill Kui. I hope you appreciate this stereo that I did in here. It made me laugh a lot. The music here is, as you can guess, from Samuel Kim, since almost every music cover I use is from him. It was around this time that I was watching Spy Family, the anime, and this OST was nice in the anime, and then he made a nice cover, so I decided to use it for this episode. You'll also see that Goku is trying to set up everything he needs to generate the glitch. He talks about it later on, but he needs Krillin to die in his Saiyan armor, and then he needs his epic transformation music. So, this and every shot where you see Goku powering up is actually from when he's fighting Android 19. I made sure to use closer zoomed in shots because in the original, you can see that the sky is blue, which is very distracting. So I didn't use this. It's not very distracting, but it's just different than the purple sky that we have during this fight. So starting from here, most of everything we're seeing is actually just the Android Saga fight. Vegeta looks like a troll doll here. It kept making me laugh when I was editing. Again, you can see I actually used this one because you can't actually see the sky, so it's difficult to tell that this isn't from... It makes it look more seamless. The only issue I had with this, Goku is suffering from his heart disease in the original context of this clip, and so you can see him sweating there. I thought about cleaning it out, but I also thought it probably doesn't matter, and the excuse I gave was, if anyone has issue with it, I can say that it's his first time turning Super Saiyan, he's doing it at a lower level, his body isn't as accustomed to it as it would have been if he had turned Super Saiyan when he's supposed to, so there you go. This was annoying to edit. I wanted Vegeta to not talk until, in the original clip, he's talking the entire time that, in fact, here, this is what I rotoscoped, or I did the camera tracking in. You can see he actually talks for a little bit, and that's because he's talking about, this Kakarot seems stronger than I thought, but I just wanted him to be thinking and then go, well, I'm screwed. Again, you can see the blue background there, but I needed Goku dashing, and I didn't notice it the first few times I was watching, so I figured no one's going to be picking up on that. This, where Vegeta gets knocked out, obviously he gets completely pummeled. I'd wanted to use that anime sound effect where it's just a ding whenever someone dies, or, you know, like comically someone dies or gets knocked out or something like that, but I couldn't find it, so instead I used the fighting, the boxing bell. Hidden subscribe text back here. As I said, I started adding subscribe text at this point, and I was trying to, I usually try and make it hidden in the background. Let me make it a bit more visible. You see that I took away, all I do is I change the blur and I change the opacity. But there you go. Just a nice little subliminal messaging. When we cut back to Tien after looking at Goku, it's going to be gone.
オラの授業はこれで終わりだ。オラの生徒だ。もうこれは授業なんかじゃねえ。本気でやらしてもらうぞ。
So, I wrote this thinking about the speedrun, I think it's the speedrun, for Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. I'm sure this happens in a lot of different games, so if you've seen or do a speedrun for any game, you can relate, but there's a section in Birth by Sleep where you can get a fire move earlier than you're supposed to be able to. You then use that fire move to, sometimes there's a gap in the ground where you can't pass because you can't jump far enough, so what you do, or there's a treasure up high and you can't jump across to it, what you do is you jump in the air and use that fire move because it makes you dash forward, and then you're able to cross that gap or grab that treasure. So it's one of those things where the developers didn't intend for you to be able to use something this early, because then you can get different weapons and equipment earlier than you should be able to. But it's not exactly the same as this, but it's what came to mind when I was trying to figure this out. You know what I think it is? This entire time it keeps slowing down whenever I play after I pause for a bit. And I think it's because originally I had it set so that After Effects uses all of my RAM, so that everything else freezes and slows down whenever I'm using After Effects. And I think I just haven't done that for 2024. I had that for 2020. So that might be why it's having so many issues. So hopefully in the next episode breakdown, this will be fixed. But if you're watching the YouTube version, I've probably edited it so that you don't even notice this to begin with. Piccolo's sly smirk here was making me laugh when I was making it, as if he's saying like, watch this, and then he just dies. But I don't know. I also use the Tom screen because I feel like the screen from Tom and Jerry, because I feel like it's very iconic. Anyway, again, this is meant to be very based on video games, so if you speedrun, you're aware that there are times where you try and skip a certain event or you skip through the story, and there are just certain things that will happen no matter what. It's hard coded so that certain things will happen no matter what. Piccolo dying during the Saiyan saga is one of those things. It's just hard coded. There's nothing you can do. Originally, I was just going to skip the Namek saga, and so Piccolo was still going to be alive, using a method that we'll talk about in Gohan Speedruns, the Namek Saga. But I feel like that's too iconic to Dragon Ball for me to just skip over that. And Frieza, the Super Saiyan transformation, being on Namek, all of it is just too iconic to Dragon Ball for me to ignore.
それおめえのおかげであいつらも火がついたみ
Again, you can see Goku's sweat here because he's suffering from his heart disease. You'll also notice that Tien, this is from the Cell Saga when Goku is talking to Cell. So now the sky is blue, so I feel fine using blue sky elsewhere. This, I want to say, is from... Oh, it's actually from the Saiyan Saga. It's early on. But the sky matches, so it's okay. And then obviously this is from when Piccolo gets killed by Nappa.
おめえのおかげであいつらも火がついたみてえだあんま細かいことは言わなくてもいいか
So I've been throwing in snippets of Vegeta trying to escape just because, one, I needed some visuals to fill the time while the characters talk and explain what just happened, but two, so that you know what's going on with him, because in the post credits we're going to see him flying on his spaceship. I want to show that they're just so unbothered by him. Goku's willing to let him go because he knows that he's necessary for the rest of the anime. Not only that, it's supposed to be that only Goku and Piccolo know about the future. Originally, I had it so that he only talked to Goku and Piccolo, but I needed Bulma to start off the montage by saying, oh, okay, your friend. See how she calls him your friend instead of Trunks or my son, because they kept it hidden from her. So it's only those two who know what's going on, and so they have to drive the story. And then we just have the end credits, my usual fading text, the episodes. I did try and guide people and say there are post credits, don't forget to go look at those. I talk about the different music that I've used and then the post credits scene. Okay, so a few things. First off, the reason that I added these post-credit scenes is it was very spur of the moment. I just decided as I was rendering out the video, I was like, well, let me just add this really quickly. I knew that Vegeta was going to be the focus of the final episode, and I knew he was going to be upset about how disrespected he had been. So in order to maximize that disrespect and show not only how little the other characters think about him, they didn't even bother to stop. They could have easily stopped him from escaping. They didn't care. Not just that, but I wanted to disrespect Vegeta by showing him having these flashbacks of how can it be? A lower class Saiyan managed to become Super Saiyan, and I just got here. I don't understand. It's supposed to give people something to speculate about. What's going on? See, we're focusing on Vegeta's point of view. What's going on? Why is he thinking these things? What's going through his mind at this point? So it's meant to tease the final episode, which I have as of yet to post. But this is going to be at the end of each of the episodes. It's something I decided to do for this series. I also used the Fall of Marley from Android Orchestra. As I've said in the past, I wanted to use Android Orchestra's music more because they do a really good job of making covers. And this was part of what I decided, okay, well, this sounds menacing enough to replace the Dio's theme, Dark Rebirth. So that's where that is. We're done. As I said, I try and leave some... this is around the point I started leaving some blank space for my previous video, next video, related or other video, and then subscription. So that's what this is, but we're all done. Let's take a look at the time. Stream says I've been going for 45 minutes. The YouTube video is going to be a little bit shorter because I'm going to cut down a few things. I debated also editing this live on stream. Since I'm recording, I can just turn off the recording, keep streaming, and then edit it. The problem is I fold my laundry while I usually I clean my house or apartment on Saturdays, and then on Sunday I do all my laundry in the morning. I cook a big meal to last me throughout the rest of the week, and then I will edit these videos while I'm folding and putting away my laundry. So that's what I'm going to be doing. If I stream myself doing the editing, one, it's going to be very boring because I'm mostly just going through seeing what visual effects I can add, and two, I wouldn't be able to do my laundry. So probably too much information. Too bad. Thanks for joining the stream. Have a good one.